It's the Full Court Press with Eric Franson and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the to the show that we're doing right now.
Following the local teams, breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interview. Join the show by calling into 435-752-1069 or text 435-339-0321. It's the Full Court Press.
Rose, hands up. Yes! Caught! Touchdown! They did it!
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome on into the Full Court Press. Jason Walker, JD Walker here. We're still filling in for Eric Franson. Well, JD's filling in for Eric. Of course, we usually have JD in on Fridays anyway. So, usual suspects for Friday. Mine is Eric, who's still out alligator hunting down in Florida. At least that's the last I heard of him, which is like a couple days ago, or like yesterday morning, was what he was telling me there. But, I don't know. Has anything happened in the last day or so, JD? I don't know if there's anything to talk about.
There was some big breaking news that impacts us here in Cache Valley. The 2025 Ford Bronco looks like they're going to have a Raptor Tremor edition. And then vintage Broncos, pretty popular in Cache Valley right now. Bucking Broncos. Bronco 2s even making a comeback today. You know, does that ring a bell or anything?
Something about a Bronco might be.
Something about a Bronco, and it wasn't a white one coming down the freeway that made us happy. Jason, I'm going to go ahead and let you dun.
Well, there is a white Bronco coming to Logan.
Oh, okay. Oh, dang. That's kind of funny. As long as he doesn't bring Kato Kalin, and I mean, the glove doesn't fit, you must have quit, man. And do you realize that whole fiasco is what got us the Kardashian family?
Yeah, I learned that a while back, and I was like, that's what really made him famous, or something like that.
No, I mean, if we could just change a few things in human history, please.
Yeah, just a few things. This world might be a little bit better. But enough being facetious. The big news of the day, obviously, is that Utah State has hired a new head coach, that being one Bronco Mendenhall, the former BYU, Virginia, and most recently New Mexico head coach, most known for his time at BYU, spending 11 seasons with them and then 6 with Virginia, and only 1 with the Lobos. But as I mentioned, his most successful tenure was with BYU. He kind of revived that program from its post-LaVell Edwards funk. And as we should always remind BYU fans, is that the best thing that ever happened to their football program is an Aggie, LaVell Edwards.
Oh, my gosh.
So worth reminding them about that. But, it's of course, now former Cougar coming to.
Yeah, so watch how you play that because, you know, that's one of the things. You know what? Little brother syndrome, and now coach is, you know, that's one of the things I talked about. How is he going to be addressed in interviews or when people are talking about him? Is it going to be the Utah State Aggies coach Bronco Mendenhall, or is it going to be former savior of the BYU program, current Utah State Aggies coach? That's what I'd like, a little separation in church and state. There you go.
Yeah, so to speak. The church, BYU, and the state, Utah State. So feel free to chime in on the Full Court Press text line 435-339-0321. Want to get your thoughts on this hiring. Obviously, the rumors were really growing yesterday that this is what was going to happen. A lot of, kind of is leaking slightly. Some people knew, some people didn't. Nothing was really on the record for a lot of the people who did know. So they were waiting to break the news. And then, it becomes unofficially official as the agents were leaking it to ESPN. And then that's where, again, unofficially official. And then it becomes officially official at about 8 a.m. today. Utah State making the announcement over their social medias and press releases and whatnot, announcing the hiring. It's a 6-year deal that they're hiring Bronco Mendenhall on. And a lot of money, and I was surprised just how high it was.
I think this actually is a good move. I think it shows, hey, guess what? You want to come get our coach, you're going to have to pay a little bit more for him. You're going to have to work on the buyouts and stuff. But guess what? I believe he's now the highest paid coach in the Mountain West, or close to it.
I don't think so. I don't know all the other salaries. I'd have to double check that one.
So I'm throwing out that with the grain of salt, but that's a pretty huge, significant upgrade from what Blake. You did a great breakdown on X, and he compared Blake Anderson's contract in the first year and the sixth year, and some of the benefits and things like that. And there's definitely a huge investment coming from Diana Sabau, President Cantwell, and the rest of the administration from Utah State, saying we're pushing in, we're serious about this, we're going to do this.
Well, the most drastic one is in the assistant coach's compensation, because that's where the most drastic difference is. Now, to go through the salary for Bronco Mendenhall, for one, I'm glad for the sake of reading the contracts. Like the old contracts they used to give the football coaches, and I think even some of the basketball coaches, was they had a base salary plus a media comment. Like they had two separate like salary numbers that you had to combine. You had to read through one part of the contract, get to the next part. So like Blake Anderson's salary was $975,000 plus a $400,000 media compensation. That's not present in Bronco's contract. So Blake was making about $1.3 million. If he'd made it to the end of his contract, he would have made just shy of $1.6 million. That would have been in 2027. Bronco starts out at an even $2 million, and it escalates by roughly $60 million.
60 million?
Excuse me, 60,000.
Holy smokes, I need to be a college football coach.
Well, yes, you should be able to anyway.
Holy cow, $60 million increase. That's a cost of living raise.
Yeah. That's the increase for like NBA players. Excuse me. So 60,000, my apologies there. So it gets to 2.318 million by year 6. That's the final. So it comes out to 6 years, 12.9 million is his contract.
Checking out around the Mountain West on December 5th, 2024, the highest paid coach was Jay Norvell from Colorado State, whose total pay was $1.8 million.
So he is the new highest paid coach in the Mountain West.
Brennan was making $2.3 million last year for San Jose State, but he's no longer there.
He's no longer there. So, 5452 just chiming in on the text line saying, he just with that exact. Were you reading off the text line, or were you, was that Google you were looking at?
I actually used the AI overview from whatever Google.
From Google.
Yeah,
so
I'm
you
like,
and 5452 chiming in at the same time there. So
high five.
Good job there. Coming in clutch there, 5452. I mentioned the assistant coaches payout, because that's the biggest thing. Because like, if you go side by side, because Blake Anderson's contract extension extended him for there was 6 years, and an adjustment to his salary would have taken him through 2027. The difference between his and Bronco's salary, about $700,000 roughly, when you average it out. So not super drastic. It is, an increase
for
of
the program. I think it's huge.
Yeah, it is a big jump, but I'm almost more floored by the assistant coach, because $700,000 difference, that's pretty big. That's the difference between being highest paid in the Mountain West and around the middle of the pack, which is where Blake was, I believe. But the assistant coaches pool, it was $2.5 million under Blake, and that was it was $2.5 million. That's the way it was through the entire contract.
So does that include Blake and
just his assistant coaches? So he gets $2.5 million to pay all the assistant coaches he has, and basically the contract basically says, we're giving you $2.5 million. You do you.
Yeah.
So the coaches are responsible. They do hirings and firings for assistant coaches. They have the power to do that, and so the university just says, go do you. We're giving you this money.
Yeah. You
make all the decisions there. So for Bronco, it goes up to $3.5 million, which that in of itself, plus $1 million is pretty significant. But it's going to keep going up through the life of the contract by $500,000 every year, up into $6 million. So year one, Bronco's making almost $700,000 more, and his assistant coaches get collectively paid $1 million more. By the end of the contract, comparing, what would have been the final year of Blake's to what is the final year on Bronco's, the difference is still only a little more than $700,000 in salary, but the difference in assistant coaches pool money is $3.5 million.
That tells me a couple things, I think. And just for 2305 real quick on the text line, just curious, what was Bronco making at New Mexico? I think it was 1.2 that I saw the last. Yeah, 1.2.
Yeah.
Wrote me back in, Jason, where we're at. I just
So we're talking about the assistant coach pool.
Oh, so this is what that tells me. In this day and age, what did Coach Bronco just go through? Like, he just relocated his family to Logan. He just went on, but he also lost his right-hand man, right? He decided to, betray the Aggies before even coming here and go to the Utes. Like, what kind of... So this tells me...
And Jason Beck, he's a former BYU quarterback.
I know, but he was with Coach Bronco. Why not just stay?
He was coached by Bronco and played for BYU, and he's going to the Utes.
Oh, that's going to be an interesting family get-together for Christmas, isn't it?
His brother, John Beck, was the one. I don't know if you...
Yeah, I remember the name. Yeah.
He was the guy that threw that kind of... It's not really Hail Mary because it was a goal line throw, but... a very famous BYU win
I remember that
in the
back
rivalry.
In the day.
So that's the legacy of the Beck family. John Beck actually went to the NFL for a hot minute.
And also, Devin Dampier may follow him to the Utes.
He's a lot more likely to go to the Utes than he is to the Aggies.
Now, some of those other guys on the Lobos might be coming up here to join Bronco in the transfer portal and hit. That could be interesting.
Yeah. I don't know if it'll be any of the big names because Wysong and Dampier and maybe Sanders can come up here. Because I don't know if he's going to get as much P5 look, but Wysong and Dampier,
those guys are going to get paid to play somewhere.
They're going to a P4 somewhere.
But I think that with this coaching pool, what it tells me is that he wants to have his team in place. He wants to make sure they're stable. And if they produce, he's able to give raises. There's that in the budget. They can move on. And that way, look, Bronco was, how long did he coach at BYU? What was it?
11 years.
11 years. It was 6 years at Virginia, 1 year at New Mexico. He's 59, I believe. I've read a lot about Bronco in the last 24 hours and some of the stuff, and he seems to, I almost thought when he took the New Mexico job, it was kind of his right off to the sunset, stay with the program 5-6 years, and then he'd be, done, or maybe move upstairs and do something. With that kind of assistant pool, I really kind of get my ears perk up to that to say, okay, so we develop the coaches too, not only the players, and the next step for Utah State, looking 5-6 years down the road, if Bronco doesn't want to continue. Sometimes, like I read an article today that he just wanted to focus on his family. And, he moved his family back west and they just hung out together and spent it. I get that. I walked away from radio to move to Cache Valley for my family. And I love radio. She's my first girlfriend, my longest girlfriend. But I get that, and it might be time. So that's one of the things I'm looking at. And that excites me with the assistant pool because we're not going to get these guys poached. I mean, possibly from bigger programs, but we'll be able to pay them. Yeah,
it'll be harder to poach them. Like any of the P4 programs that want to poach coordinators, they can. But it'll be more like the biggest programs can be able to do that because the other ones, are they going to be able to offer as much? Are they going to be that dedicated to overpaying for Utah State assistants? It'll just be easier to retain them. It'll also be a big draw for coordinators from the get-go.
Yeah.
The kind of guys that he'll be able to bring in.
Because also on the fact is that, Bronco may run the team for 6 or 10 or whatever years, but with that kind of assistant pool, that tells me planning for the future, the next step. And I hate the term, coach in waiting or something like that.
Yeah, because the coach in waiting never seems to work out.
It's just those things. But if Coach Mendenhall's got a coordinator that he develops and grows and works with, and that's where the program goes for the next step and it's successful, that's kind of cool. But I love that bit. Overall, what I love is that the AD and the program just kind of pushed their cards on the table and started shelling out some cash.
Speaking of the AD, we will have Diana Sabau on the show at about 4:30. We'll be calling her, have her on the show over the phone just to talk about this hiring and what it means for the program, what they were looking for with Coach, obviously. We got to take a quick break. We got to kind of facilitate that because we're about a 15-minute segment later in the hour, whereas we normally have the longer segments early in the hour. So we're going to take a quick break. We got a couple of texts coming in, and then we'll continue here on the Full Court Press.
Over the past few years, strong and crazy weather patterns have battered various parts of the country. Northern Utah and southern Idaho are not immune from its share of wild weather. Be prepared for power outages with a Generac backup generator from Golden Spike Electric. They are your local source for Generac sales and service. Generac keeps you in control when bad weather strikes. Golden Spike Electric, powering your peace of mind. Online at gsegenerators.com or call 257-3016. They also service other models.
'Tis the season, and if you're getting engaged, bring that special someone to S.E. Needham Jewelers. You'll love our extensive selection of beautiful engagement rings. Also, you'll select a diamond from Utah's largest selection of loose diamonds. You'll find a unique ring at an affordable price with diamonds direct from Antwerp, Belgium at internet pricing. It just doesn't get better. And you may also take advantage of our 12-month interest-free financing. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 7, where Utah gets engaged. S.E. Needham Jewelers, middle of the block, at the sign of the clock.
Now here's a concept. You earmark 1/3 of your profits to go back into the community, to local charities. Dex Imaging does that. My name is Anthony Wagoner, and I'd like to share with you what I know about Dex, the company that acquired Valley Office Systems. Dex Imaging is committed to continuing quality customer service while raising the bar to become a strong community partner. Join us in creating the brightest image for tomorrow. Contact us at deximaging.com.
Fall is here. Winter is on the way. And while the fields may be quiet, the work never stops. Cash Equipment is your partner through every season, offering Kubota, AGCO, and Massey Ferguson machinery. Right now is the perfect time to service your equipment, and the expert service team at Cash Equipment is here to help. Whether you're maintaining land, handling livestock, or already preparing for spring, Cash Equipment is here all year to support you with reliable parts and equipment. In Hyde Park and online at cashequipment.com.
The Full Court Press. Connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, and online at 1069thefan.com.
Welcome on back to the Full Court Press. There goes the bump music. I wasn't ready for it to end so quickly. But Jason Walker, JD Walker here on 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, The Fan. We're about 12, 13 minutes removed from an interview with Diana Sabau, the athletics director for Utah State. We'll discuss, obviously, the big news of the day, Bronco Mendenhall, the next coach of the football team. And we're talking about what that means for the program. And obviously it's whenever you're hiring a new football coach, it's the biggest hire for the athletic department, because that's what drives the money. It's oftentimes what's driving conference realignment, whether you're in or you're out. Like, the difference between Utah State getting in and not teams like New Mexico, Wyoming, and all that is because Utah State's been consistent in football. And that's not because that's the only thing, but that's probably one of the bigger things, I'd imagine. And Utah State absolutely shoveling money into the lap of Bronco Mendenhall and his assistant coaches, showing dedication toward making sure this football program even takes a step beyond that, because the last 10 years have been a pretty big, step up. They went from being a middling or even bottom feeder program for most of the years between the 80s, late 70s and into the early 2000s, or really until like 2010. And they've become a, multi-time conference championship winning team in the last, 10 or so years. But they're trying to take a step even above that. And this is what they're hoping is a step forward. I know if you're looking for two guys who are going to be completely rah-rah like Bronco's the savior of the program, I don't think you're going to find those in me or JD. No. Although I have to admit, for once, you're more pessimistic than I am.
I went to the stats. Look, I'll say this before. This hire is great. I think it's a great hire for where the program's at today. Unfortunately, it was put in this situation by powers that be before, and I think it's an excellent job on the cleanup crew, bringing in the hazmat team and doing what it is. That being said, Coach Mendenhall will not get to Coach Dryling grace. You're now being paid big money. You're coming in. You're a name. Come do this and turn it around. I see people talking about him rebuilding programs, and I've got doubts about the Virginia program. Me and DJ Nelson had a great conversation this afternoon, former Aggie, and we're going back and forth. And I said, for a program that needs to be stable, for a program that needs to have a concrete leader who you can trust, and everything I've learned about Bronco or read about him in the last 24 hours shows me that on the field, this guy is a hell of a coach. The players that he has on his team, he will maximize their potential and their talent just by his coaching style. And that's what it would do. Little weak on the recruiting, transfer portal stuff. And if you look at the Virginia record, here's what I got to ask. So we've talked about a step forward and everything, and I've seen a lot of we're going to compete for conference titles on social media and stuff like that. If the turnaround of a program is 36-38 with one bowl game and one conference title in 6 years, would we look back at that, and Aggie fans, in 6 years as a win, as a positive thing? That's Coach Mendenhall's record in Virginia. And, of course, the ACC is different than the Mountain West, but if you try to compare them and move them around, that's kind of the math I was doing today. And so this is a solid, stable hire. The ship's not sinking anymore. If anything, it's going to rise and it's going to settle to where it needs to be. But I'm not sure if this hire has a break through the ceiling to be a multi-contender for conference titles year after year. I don't see that. The Virginia, the first 2 years down, third year up to 8-5, and then I think the next year was a conference title, and then boom, down to 5-5 or 6-6, and how it was. So I think it's a great hire for where we're at in the program. I think there was a lot of cleaning up that needs to do. I think Bronco is going to help change the culture of some things and change it around, and it's going to be a successful foundation. But I'm not going to be shocked if we have a lot of 6-6, 7-6 seasons, 7-5 seasons.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think I agree with some of that. And the next year is, if I was going to make a prediction, it would be 6-6 in the regular season, flip a coin on whether they win a bowl game. Because that seems to be the floor, and I don't know if Bronco Mendenhall is going to be able to have that same jump in and just elevate the program a ton. I feel like what he does is he raises the floor, gives you stability. They're trying to work through, obviously, some things behind the scenes with the program, and Bronco, I think, will be a big help for that. But I do think there is at least a chance for him to be a potentially conference championship winning coach. Am I skeptical he can do that? Yes. I voiced my skepticism before, and I'm not going to just jump off of that just because Bronco's now the coach. Like, there is the reality that his last winning season was in 2019. Because for me, I'm not so much concerned about, the level of success at Virginia, because, it's kind of like what we were talking about with Jared Calhoun at Youngstown State. It was what has he done relative to, the program and the resources and all that. Jared Calhoun did well at Youngstown State for what he had. Bronco Mendenhall did well for what he had in New Mexico in 1 year. And so the concern for me isn't so much whether or not he can build, recruit, have a good program. It's more of the fact that he's pretty far removed from his most successful days.
Very far. And in fact, the college football is completely different.
Yeah, and that's my biggest concern.
That's my thing. And the things that I read is he has a lot of Dabo kind of in him that doesn't want to do the transfer portal, that doesn't want to do NIL, that does like the recruiting. If you look at the recruiting classes in the ACC and the budget you had, those recruiting classes are horrible. Like it's not there. Like it's just not. And to be successful, that's the generation we're living in. If you think we're going to be able to recruit kids here in the state of Utah, they're going to stay for 4 years and we're going to turn it into a successful conference championship winning program, you're mistaken. You're going to have to recruit outside of Utah, and you're going to have to embrace the transfer portal and NIL. You're going to have to do that wisely, and you're going to have to lean into it, or we're going to be a middle or the bottom of the pack 8 or 9 or 10 team.
Yeah. Let's get to the text line. A few texts, a couple of people pointing this fact out. We were talking about Lavelle Edwards being an Aggie, Bronco being a former Utah or BYU coach. I think he played for, I forget who he played for in college, but a couple of people mentioning 5338 and 8968 mentioning that Kyle Whittingham was a former BYU player. So, and he's over with the Utes. He is, lifelong Ute essentially there now.
And how's that program going?
That's going all right.
Okay. Conference championships, college football playoffs, successful, keep going. Like the Utes are cannibalizing their own with Cam Rising now. It just, I don't know. I understand the thing.
The whole Kyle Whittingham's done fine. I don't think anyone would trade, even if the last couple of years are a bit sour. So they're doing fine.
I want to jump on 2305 here real quick.
Which one?
2305, the top one. To be fair, how can you judge him before he's had any time on the job, and you can't compare past performances with what he can do in the future? Okay. Not really a judgment looking at the stats and the facts, and he's weak in recruiting. It's just flat out there. But another thing, then why was he hired if we can't compare past performances? Because then you're just getting rid of his whole career and saying, we're just going to hope for the best.
Yeah.
You look what he did with BYU. There was a couple shaky spots in the set where he almost walked away from BYU. Then he left. We got Virginia and kind of had the same pattern. There's some things I'm worried about for coach burnout, also age and other things. And I'm just being realistic. This is the Jason Walker effect on me. The optimism has left the station because this isn't an interim coach trying to put a tourniquet on the program and stop the bleeding. This is somebody who just got paid the most money in the conference to step up and take this team to the next level, not be 6-6, not be 7-5, but to compete for conference championships. And frankly, I'm skeptical.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like the fact that he's pretty far removed from his success, and you pointed out some worries in recruiting. It's very possible that he overcomes those. You have a lot of good assistants, and you have a lot of these things. He can overcome those. And like I said, he's had success, and that's the key. Is if he can translate his previous success to Utah State, he will be a slam dunk hire. And I think right now, because we're not trying to poo-poo on this hire and say it's bad, but we're trying to make sure that we don't say this isn't. It's like right now is a home run hire. It's a good hire. Of course, now we're going to talk to Diana Sabau, who I'm sure is pleased with her hire. But I know we want to have cautious optimism.
There you go.
I think is where we're standing.
That's it.
We do need to take a break because we got to get Diana Sabau on the show. So we'll be back and we'll talk with the athletics director of Utah State.
This is Justin Hamilton, and all of us at Cafe Sabor wish you and your family a safe and happy holiday. For the entire month of December, with every $25 gift card purchase, you will receive a $5 card for free. Great food. It's the perfect gift for family, friends, or coworkers. Purchase a $25 gift card and get $5 additional for free. Happy holidays from all of us at Cafe Sabor.
Copiers, printers, service, and supplies are just the beginning. Les Olson IT is the premier source for your business's structured cabling, IT, software, telephones, and security systems. We partner with you to find the ideal solution to all of your office technology needs. Tell us your goals and we'll get you there. Find out more at lesolson.com.
Les Olson IT.
As the year comes to a close, we at Aegis Healthcare want to take a moment to express our heartfelt gratitude.
To our incredible staff, thank you for your dedication, hard work, and passion. You make everything we do possible.
To our wonderful community, thank you for your trust and support. You're the reason we continue to grow and thrive.
This holiday season, we wish you and your loved ones joy, peace, and warmth. Here's to cherished moments in a bright new year ahead.
Happy holidays from all of us at Aegis Healthcare.
We look forward to serving you in the year to come.
Some people like a white Christmas. Aggie fans, we prefer a blue Christmas. Put something blue under the tree from Locker 42. Here are a few gift ideas. For him, a Travis Matthews or Cutter and Buck Aggie logoed polo shirt. For her, Nike women's pullover hoodies. Aggie plush blankets are popular. Hoodies, jackets, sweatshirts. Give your Aggie fan a gift card and let them choose from the Locker 42 wall of hats. Make it a blue Christmas with something under the tree from Locker 42.
Hi, this is Ashley with LSS Insurance. If you're looking for Medicare coverage that truly works for you, now's the time to act. The Medicare annual enrollment period is here, and it's your chance to compare all your options. Whether you're considering a supplement, Medicare Advantage, or Part D prescription drug plan, call 752-9493 and let us personally walk you through your choices. No cost, no pressure. Call LSS Insurance at 752-9493. LSS Insurance, your local health insurance specialist.
It's never too cold or wet to get rid of that old vehicle. Now is the time to earn extra cash for the holidays by calling DD Auto and Salvage. Let them pay you for that junk vehicle. DD Auto and Salvage makes it easy and fast to get rid of your junker vehicles, paying you the most money possible. Pickup is available. DD Auto and Salvage in Logan wants to pay you today. Call 787-1204.
That's 787-1204 today.
See store for details.
Talking the sports you care about. The Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Welcome back to the Full Court Press on 106.9 FM and 1390 AM. Jason Walker, J.D. Walker, Eric Branson, currently on sabbatical for his best crocodile hunter impersonation today. And so looking here at the text line, as you getting in your thoughts and everything, I want to share a few things. We got USU football just released a Bronco by the numbers in Twitter. Pretty cool stats. All right, let's go to the Twitter right now and checking it out. 18 years as a head coach. 16 of his teams have made bowl eligibility. As a head coach, 9 of his teams have been nationally ranked. His coach has played 14 all-time bowl games with series wins. Great career record, 6-14 career record as a head coach. Has 39-6 in 6 seasons in the Mountain West. And we got former players, 80 of them signing NFL contracts. So that for 6'3" and 9'1". And how do you know he's not a good recruiter? Nobody knows that kind of personal information. You can only judge win-loss records based on many things from 2-3-0-5. Also, you can look at the ratings for recruiting classes and things like that. It breaks it down, transfers, and the stats stand for themselves.
All right, well, we finally got Diana Sabau on the line. We mentioned we would have her on the show, the architect behind hiring Bronco Mendenhall and bringing in the next chapter of Utah State football. Diana, we got you on the line?
Hello.
All righty, there we go. You can hear us, right?
I sure can.
Okay, right. I always have these just worries about technical difficulties. I've had too many of them, but we're so thankful you can take a few minutes of your day. I know you've been busy. You've been going on the radio tour, so we're glad you get to spend some time and helping us walk through this again, new chapter of Utah State football.
Sure thing. Our pleasure.
So just wanted to maybe walk us through the process of, what you were looking for in a head coach and just, how Bronco Mendenhall ended up being the fit where you decided to offer an unprecedented amount of money for a Utah State football head coach.
Yeah, I think if you break it down, I'm first really thankful for Nate Dreiling and his staff and what they were able to achieve. I know it isn't the success markers that maybe everyone wants with Utah State football, but I am really grateful for everything that they were able to accomplish this year and how hard our young men came back and participated each and every contest. When you look at the Utah State football program, from my perspective, really wanted to focus in on 3 things, and that's a comprehensive structure of belief and investment in our student athletes, and making sure our academics are a priority again, and rising our academic standard, and then being good citizens in the community. And so with those 3 pillars, we didn't really have a public search. It was a very closed and private search, but just got flooded with interest from across the country, from position coaches, unit coaches in the NFL, from coordinators and position coaches in Division I football, and then head coaches at the Division I level in intercollegiate athletics for Division I. And so really happy that we had such a great interest and just believed that this job deserved and belonged to a sitting head coach.
So I know some people got a little nervous about how long it took. Mind you, it took, all of what, less than a week or something like that from the end of the season. Like, people kind of assumed that it would happen maybe a little quicker, but how confident were you in the timeline that you had, for how long it ended up taking you to find a new coach?
Very confident. It was a very disciplined process. I'm a process person. There were steps that I wanted to achieve. I knew I wanted it all narrowed down before signing day. We had a very specific timing for interviews. Went through a process of phone and Zoom, and then in-person interviews as well. So we did our due diligence, had a very small committee, and I'm really pleased with our results. My ultimate timeline was to make sure that we had someone in place by the transfer portal open on the 9th, and I'm glad that we could have an announcement today.
I guess, how just absolutely crucial was it to have, because it seems like that is the big deadline, just how crucial is it to have a head coach now before the transfer portal officially opens? I know some players have already announced their intentions to at least enter the portal, but just how important is it to have that coach in place so that you can be ready for the transfer portal?
Well, of course, consistency is winning and stability adds to that winning. And we wanted to create a sense of belief again with our team, with a new head coach. And obviously, as the season concluded, the coaching carousel increased across the country. So that was another factor to be mindful of, because as more jobs open, less candidates emerge because they start to accept jobs, right? And so wanted to just be very strategic with our timeline and very happy with our results.
When it came to the moment where I imagine the pressure and everything to have it, just to executing it and making the right hire, when was the moment that you kind of got a chance to smile? It was a deep breath, that like sigh of relief, everything's done. Was it when he signed the contract or when we saw the announcement this morning? When was this all wrapped up for you? Us on the outside here, the fans and everything, we've got to take some extra medication this week, and that's just because of our own wanting everything right now. But when was that moment, that aha moment for you with this hire with Coach Mendenhall?
I believe when you work with people, you are never done, and it is a daily process. And so for me, I don't know if it was last night or this morning, but when everything got signed and our agreement was locked up, I smiled driving home, definitely.
There you go. So I want to ask about just the money. I mentioned, like, this is this is the highest. It's definitely the highest the Utah State's ever paid a head coach. I think now the highest paid coach in the Mountain West. Just what was that process of being able to raise this money, and also, you had paid $2 million to buy him out of the New Mexico contract. Just how were you able to raise that kind of money to invest this much into the program now?
Well, I'd like to thank President Cantwell and her belief in our athletics department. I'd like to thank our donors, investors, and our Aggies across the country who want us to be successful. Bronco Mendenhall has not only a proven record, but he believes in a challenge. And Utah State football right now is a challenge. And he will make a difference, and he'll ignite this community. So, much like for you guys, your compensation is a sign of appreciation and shows the value you bring to your organization. And we wanted Bronco to feel that as well.
I do wish the appreciation was $2 million, though.
Oh, yeah, let me tell you what. You can negotiate my next deal with Cache Valley Media if it gets $2 million.
So I wanted to ask one thing about, because obviously Bronco's record is stellar. What he did at BYU, and even a solid job with Virginia, getting to an Orange Bowl. But I guess the one concern that I'd kind of had, and I want to ask maybe what would have alleviated your concerns with this, is that Bronco hasn't had a winning season since 2019. Obviously, before then it was successful. What kind of alleviated the concerns that it's been a minute since he had one of those winning seasons that defined a lot of his earlier career?
Well, when you look at what he was able to achieve at BYU, what he's achieved at Virginia, and what he was building at New Mexico, it is a process, right, guys? It's not something that you just walk into a room and flip the switch.
Absolutely.
It takes a constant financial investment. You all know how the transfer portal and how NIL and the collectives work today. So you could have a player today and gone tomorrow. Yep. That's proven at New Mexico with their quarterback and their offensive coach, right? Their OC, their coordinator. So I think this is a constantly changing environment. You have to have someone who's going to be nimble. And I am absolutely positive that Bronco will not only develop young men, have an impact, and have people have a valued-based culture, but we will win football games. And it's going to be hard, but I know that our community and our university is committed, and we're invested in football.
So obviously, every head coaching hire can have a long-lasting impact, but it feels like these latest rounds of coaching hires may have like an increased importance just because of the move to the Pac-12. Does that kind of add to the pressure where you've been hiring these coaches, where the ones you're hiring are likely the coaches who will lead their respective programs into the Pac-12?
Oh, without a doubt, the Pac-12 plays on every decision that I make as an athletics director. Truly, the Pac-12 is elevating our brand every single day. The competition, the television, the eyeballs, and the support that we will have for Aggie Nation will be also increased. And so you have to have strong leaders. You have to have good teachers. You have to have coaches that are going to find value in your community. And so, for Bronco to bring him back to the state of Utah, to bring him back home, what a great fit. What an alignment of his values. With Jared Calhoun, he wants somewhere where he can raise his family. He has embraced this community. He loves this community. His wife, Sarah, loves the community. And you see his family at all of our games running around with their friends. And so that's truly important. And it's a fit. And we've got two really good fits right now. I don't want to forget Wesley Brooks either, our women's basketball coach, who is taking a program that has struggled for some bit of time at Utah State and working really hard in growing our competitive structure of that women's basketball program as well.
I appreciate you adding that little bit about Coach Calhoun. And yes, Coach Brooks is a stud. Coach Calhoun, we wonder, because a lot of coaches stop here and then move to the next. And somebody shared on Twitter that his family absolutely loves Cache Valley, and kind of leading him into my next question. I've only been here for 3 years. I want to give you props for bringing the Pac-12 to me here in Cache Valley, because I grew up in Oregon, so an Oregon Ducks guy, and I moved to Logan, and you bring the Pac-12. How is Cache Valley for you, living here, being here every day? What are your favorite things about being here, a part of the community, being the AD for the Utah State Aggies, and seeing the pride that's around town for our Aggies?
Oh, it's joyful every single day. Some days are harder than others, but the people here are magnanimous. It's beautiful. I want everyone to believe as much as I believe that Utah State will achieve, and we are going to. Our future is bright. We're really, really bright. And so I hope that everyone can continue to believe that, not guess or talk about when someone's going to leave, but how are we going to keep them? How are you going to grow your investment so we can make sure we keep really good teachers, we keep really good coaches, we keep Jared Calhoun and his family here, instead of talking about him leaving. I've had people ask me, what are you going to do to keep Jared Calhoun? He's going to leave after one season. Why do we talk like that in Cache Valley? We need to talk how we can keep him here, because these are special people. There's a method to this madness, guys. It's not just waking up one day and saying, how about I hire this person? There's a lot of research. There's a ton of calls. There's a lot of relationships that you lean into because you really, I want the right person here for this community, because it means so much to be a part of Utah State and to be an Aggie.
I'm willing to chain myself to vehicles to keep coaches in town. Just letting you know, I really appreciate the coaches that we have. The more I get to learn about Coach Brooks and Coach Calhoun, I just absolutely love how they shape young men and how they're growing the program for the ladies and the men. And I know Coach Brooks, it'll be a long haul, but I believe in a couple of years we're going to be looking back as this being a foundational moment for the Aggies women's basketball team. We all know what Coach Calhoun's doing, and tomorrow night, Utah Tech, we're going to keep the undefeated streak up. And Bronco Mendenhall, the new coach of the Utah State Aggies. Man, I got a big permagrin on my face.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
I should ask Diana, are you going to introduce Bronco at the basketball game tomorrow?
You know what? I wish we could do that tomorrow. We're going to look at a different game. He can't. He has a lot that he's trying to close up strong.
I imagine. Yeah.
And finish out. So we want to microdose any kind of pressure, in the beginning. So we will have him at a basketball game. It'll probably be one closer to the holidays, or maybe even a Mountain West big contest. So everyone can get excited for that. And I would be negligent if I didn't tell you guys that Manny Martin, who has brought great success to our women's soccer program, he had 2 offers to go to 2 Power 4 schools after the season this year. And he and his family love Logan and love being a part of Utah State, and we were able to retain him after those 2 really great offers. So people want to be a part of what we're building. They want to live here in Logan, and that makes me really, really excited, and I hope it makes a lot of people really excited. So keep believing. Watch us reach and rise.
Definitely. We're running a little thin on the time that we have for you. Wanted to ask about the assistant coach pool, because that's obviously been a big, there's a rise in the amount of money. Like, how crucial was that in kind of the negotiating process or just that being part of the investment? Like, how big was it to have that increase there to give Bronco obviously a lot of really good help with his assistant coaches?
Yeah, that truly was not part of the negotiation process, because before I started the hiring process, I went to President Cantwell and we had the discussion of how important it is to invest in consistency. Consistency is winning year over year, and those are your assistant coaches. If you have assistant coaches who don't feel appreciated or compensated, they're going to be chasing a paycheck, and they're going to look to leave every year. That's not great to a position or to a locker room. So President Cantwell is all in, and I thank her every day for that. And so we came to a dollar figure that we'd have to fundraise a little bit for, and here's where we're at. And it's also important that we provide an increase each year, because if we don't, then we're flat, we're maxed out, and then people will leave anyways.
All right, I got one more question for you. It was a texter. I don't know if you can really answer this, but one of the texters wanted me to ask if Bronco, because they're wondering if they were going to move they swapped the benches, like the visiting team is in front of the student section, then Utah State's in front of the season ticket holders. They're wondering if you or Bronco are going to switch that and bring the Aggies back to the student section side.
Oh gosh, you guys, that's a lot of questions in one segment here. We haven't gotten that deep into the weeds. I don't know if we will. You know, our most important priorities right now is maintaining our locker room and getting a full coaching complement. So we'll get to what side of the field we're going to be on at a later date. Stay tuned.
It's on the priority list, just not right there.
A little further down.
We're a little fanatic when it comes to our Aggies there. So, we get out there.
So thanks to Herd, and we're so appreciative for that. So thank you, guys.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show with us again. Diana Sabau, Director of Athletics at Utah State University. Thank you so much for taking a bit of your time today with us and joining the show.
Hey, have a great weekend. We'll see everyone at basketball tomorrow. Go Aggies.
All right, we'll see you then. Yeah, that's Diana Sabau, Director of Athletics. And we're going to go ahead and take a break. We'll be back after this here on the Full Court Press. Maybe. Oh, fetch.
Days get shorter, temperatures get colder. Be prepared with a stop at your local Napa Auto Parts. If your battery's more than 4 years old, stop in. They can test it before it leaves you stranded in the cold. If you need a new battery or some new wiper blades, they'll even help you install them. Pick up a 50-pound bag of Blue Heat Ice Melt for $10. Be prepared for cold weather and snow with help from your friends at your locally owned Preston to Providence Napa Auto Parts.
It doesn't matter who you root for. The Full Court Press has all the high school sports covered. The Full Court Press. Connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, and online at 1069thefan.com.
That's the shortest commercial break we've ever had. That's because I was buying time. The first time I called Diana Sabau, wasn't able to get through. I don't know if she recognized the number. Then I called her again, and so I extended the last commercial break by stealing from this commercial break, and it didn't reload. So just had to. So we had a short commercial break there. But again, very thankful for Diana Sabau for coming on the show, talking with us about the hiring of Bronco Mendenhall. Obviously, a lot there to talk about and a lot to be positive about. I know we have some. We're in that cautious optimism phase,
but that's where we're we're kind of at professionally. That's just what we do.
Yeah, and so we're obviously there's to me and I know we were having a conversation in the hall earlier. You were explaining some of your worries, and I was taking the side of the optimist, and obviously wanted to go over. I didn't want to grill her about all of our concerns. I did ask the one question about the concern about how long it's been since had a winning season, but
it is time to celebrate. It's time to be. Hey, look, let's set aside. I know there's big question. What's sideline? Coop Bassett, DJ, are those coaches coming back? Where's Coach Dreiling going to end up? Who's going to be on the staff? When is the transfer portal? Who's going to come back? Everybody in the Aggie family, hit pause. For 24 hours, you are not allowed to worry about anything else except the fact that the most famous Bronco in the United States is now the coach for Utah State Aggies. Just pause the optimism, the worry, the stuff, and it's going to be something that we're going to have to see, come through out on the field. And guess what? We're allowed to be cautiously optimistic. I'm allowed to question. I'm allowed to look at facts and tell you that, the recruiting doesn't match up. And if you're going to make it in this day and age, you're going to have to step it up. Yeah. Same with transfers. You're going to have to mix this. Coach Calhoun's got this great thing, the balance of grown talent and transferred in talent that he's working with right now. And we're seeing how that's going to develop. It is. And look, I hope it's great. I hope it's awesome. But also, I'm going to call it like I see it and look it straight down the line.
Yeah, and like you're never going to have a perfect hire, and so that's where obviously you're not going to find the perfect candidate on paper. And 2305, a few important notes here. Although first saying, this is Diana Sabau, seems like she was very excited about the hire, and I would think justifiably so. She's excited about the hire. It's her first, hire for the football head coaching job, which is obviously that's your most important job. Yeah. As an athletic director, so you hire as the head coach of football. But 2305 also points out, where we're raising some concerns, but pointing out and saying your concerns cannot be answered at this time. And that's the thing, is we have concerns, but I'm not going to hold it against Bronco.
No.
I'm not holding those against him, saying these are reasons why he won't succeed. They are hesitations to me saying that Utah State has already hit a home run.
Yeah, that's it.
I can't, and mind you, I'm already kind of that way because I follow freezing cold takes on Twitter, and every time some coach either wins a Super Bowl or a championship or gets fired, you see all the tweets about some guy making this bold declaration that, Adam Gase is the next, Bill Belichick. I don't think I've actually said that, but those kind of exaggerations, and then it turns out they're way wrong. I tend to be a little passive in my, is this a great hire? Is it a bad hire? I try and read what I have.
Yep.
I try and look at the past. I know the past is all we have to judge on. In the past has a lot of great things for Bronco Mendenhall, and it has some things to be concerned about. And so if you want to be optimistic about it, there is all the room in the world to be optimistic. If you want to be pessimistic, I'm not going to say there's all the room in the world to be pessimistic, but there are some things to hold on to say, look, let's, not start raising the banners yet.
Yeah.
But don't be worried. Even with all these concerns that me and JD have raised, I would not even say that rises to the level of worrying about the football program.
Yeah, it's just calling it straight. It is. I've seen it, and the concerns can't be answered at this time. I get it, but neither can your disregard for our concerns be answered at this time. Because you want to talk about Coach Mendenhall's got two phases of football. He's got BYU. That was independent at the time. It was a little bit different. The world of college football has changed so much, the portal and NIL. You take the Virginia blueprint that he put down, recruiting in the ACC with a bigger budget. He was being paid more. And you look at that 6 years at Virginia and compare it to Utah State, recruiting, record, everything. My concern is, when we're talking about grand slams and conference titles and contending and everything, I don't think 36-38 is a positive record after 6 years. That's what I'm basing things on. I want this hire to be yes, and I want him to raise and exceed what he's done in the past at Virginia. Because I told you in the hallway, if you can figure out a way to include his seasons at BYU, and in that math equation, add NIL and the transfer portal and the new era of recruiting and figure it out, I would be glad to throw that BYU stuff in there to my analytics. But I can't, because a different era of football. And if you want to stay in that era of football, you're getting left behind on some things. So that's my concern. That's where it's at. I'm very positive about this hire. I see why this hire was done. I can see the links to everything, but I'm not just going to buy in with my Aggie colored glasses and say we're going to the college football playoffs next year.
You can't be that level of optimistic without being a little delusional. Sounds too strong of a word to be using in that case, but
the kids say Delulu these days.
I'm not going to unironically say Delulu.
Just got you to say it.
Yeah, but it was not unironically. I was using it in context. So, yeah, I think this is a good hire, whether it can be a strong hire or a home run hire. Quite frankly, it better be, because they're paying him a lot of money.
Yep.
$13 million in the next 6 years.
And let me tell you what, if he takes us to the promised land, and I will eat crow.
We'll bring you in a plate of crow.
Yeah, I will. I will go down the homecoming parade and just chew on crow the whole time, and everybody can say, I told you so.
Yeah, and it's not often a bad thing to hear those I told you so, because I've been wrong about things plenty of times.
Oh, if the Aggies are successful, Tell me I'm wrong all day. You can even come by my house and tell me at 6 a.m. in the morning, because if I'm wrong and we see a different swing and it's more 10-win seasons than 6-6 seasons, I've never been so glad to be wrong in my life.
There you go. Let's get to a few of these texts on the Full Court Press text line. You got through a 6391's text, right? The one about Bronco by the numbers.
I read that. Some stuff. And it's really impressive when you look at the overall career and everything. And I'm really just focusing on that NIL portal stuff. I know if you bring it in, and that's going to have an effect.
Yeah, because that's the thing that I would worry the most about. I guess I may need to get to the text early, but that is the thing, because he was able to have 8-9 win seasons the vast majority of his career, even at Virginia. But it's the NIL. That's where
that's what.
If he can do that, he will be a great coach at Utah State. If he can't, it might be a struggle. I said that about Blake Anderson, where it's like Blake Anderson, his fall, so to speak. I don't know if fall. He had a bunch of 6-6 seasons, but it was transfer portal.
Yeah,
he wasn't ready for that. Is Bronco ready for that? He's not really had to face it yet, even in New Mexico. So that's something to keep an eye on. I think I got to extend this. I know normally we wrap up at 56:50, but I threw out a commercial break from our from our things. We got another 30 seconds or so.
We see you guys on the text line, and when we get back in, we'll just start stacking them.
Yeah, 5879 I think said, is Bronco going to keep Cooper Bassett on?
We can wish.
I can hope so.
We can wish. And Coach DJ too.
Yeah, you'd kind of hope so.
Yeah.
But we're going to have to wait and potentially see. All right, we're going to wrap it up here for the first hour. Thank you so much for listening. We're going to get some of these texts. We're also going to preview Utah State men's basketball as well coming up next hour.
I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. The Lions' philosophy on the football field, much like a high-rolling gambler at a casino. When the team's aggressiveness goes well like it did last night, the rewards are astronomical. Detroit was all in on fourth down 5 times. The Lions converted 4 of the 5, one resulting in a touchdown.